task number 3, preparing our anesthetic equipment prior to induction. We are going to be performing an MRI scan on Kinsey, a 10-year-old female spayed Labrador Retriever weighing 30 kilograms. We go ahead and make sure that we've got all of our equipment here. So we've got 2 ET tubes of the appropriate size for Kinsey. We've got an 11 millimeter and a 10 millimeter. I'm going to go ahead and use my cuff syringe to inflate the cuffs, just to make sure that there's no leaking. Okay, so our 10 millimeter is holding pressure well. I'll go ahead and do my 11 millimeter, which is also holding pressure well. I'll go ahead and deflate those just to make sure that they're prepared for placement. Okay. I'm going to just lay my cuff syringe next to those so that it's close by for inflating the cuff after they're placed. I've got my tie that is of adequate length to go around the ET tube as well as up around Kinsey's muzzle. I've got some sterile lube to lubricate the end of the tube and my laryngoscope. I've got my heparinized saline flush, which is at a concentration of 5 units of heparin per 1 ml of 0.9% saline. Got an 18 gauge catheter, which is the appropriate size for a dog Kinsey's size. I'm just going to go ahead and open that up and flush it appropriately with my heparinized saline. I'm going to take the cap off of the catheter, stick my syringe on the end. I'm just going to flush the saline through until it reaches the other end of the catheter. Set that there. Next, I've got my tape for securing the placement of my catheter. I'm going to go ahead and tear that. I've got my clippers for clipping the area of our catheter. I've got my aseptic chlorhexidine scrub as well as alcohol. Got a tea set that's been preemptively flushed with our heparinized saline. And I've got a cap here to place on the end of our catheter. As you can see, I've gone ahead and torn the appropriate size and types of tape for securing our catheter. I've got some eye lube to place in her eyes after induction, as she will no longer have the blink reflex. Next, I'm going to go ahead and calculate my oxygen flow rate for induction as well as our maintenance. So our oxygen flow rate for induction is going to be 50 to 100 milliliters per kg per minute. So to figure that out, I'm going to use cross multiplication and multiply 50 for the mils per kg per minute times her weight, which is 30 kilograms, which is going to give us 1,500 mils. And then I'm going to divide that by 1,000, which is going to give me 1.5 liters of oxygen per minute. Next, I'm going to do the 100 mils, which is going to be the upper half of our calculation. So I'm going to multiply 100 times her weight of 30 kilograms. It's going to give us 3,000. I'm going to divide that by 1,000, which is going to give us 3 liters. So her oxygen flow rate for induction is going to be anywhere from 1.5 to 3 liters of oxygen per minute. For maintenance, we're going to use 20 to 40 milliliters per kg per minute, which is going to give us 20 times 30 equals 600 divided by 1,000. It's going to be 0.6 liters per minute. And then we'll do 40 times 30, it's 1,200 divided by 1,000. It's going to give us 1.2 liters per minute. And our induction is going to be 1.5 liters per minute to 3 liters per minute. Okay. Also got my induction mask here to supply her oxygen prior to as well as during her induction. I've got my oxygen machine here that has already been appropriately leak tested and set up for Kinsey's size with a 2-liter rebreathing bag or reservoir bag. It has also been set up with a semi-closed rebreathing system with our pop-off valve halfway open. Next, I've got our monitoring equipment, which is going to monitor her ECG, SpO2, end-tidal CO2, and blood pressure, as well as a stethoscope in case I need to manually listen to her heart. This has all been appropriately tested as well to make sure it is working properly prior to the procedure. We've got our cash box here, which contains all of our emergency drugs in case Kinsey were to experience cardiac or respiratory arrest during the procedure. We've got blankets here to use to keep Kinsey's body temperature of the appropriate degrees within the procedure. And then lastly, we've got our fluids. So I've got a liter of lactated rinse here. I'm going to use a macro drip infusion set. We'll go ahead and spike our bag and prepare that. Okay, so I'm going to take the cap off of our infusion set, remove the plug, cap that, and spike our bag. Go ahead and hang that up and flush our line just to make sure that there's no air bubbles in there. And as you can see, it's dripping through the other end with no air bubbles within the line. Clamp that off and feed it through our fluid pump. Our fluid pump has been preset to 300 mils per hour. And then after the first hour, we're going to decrease that to 150 mils per hour. That's calculated at a rate of 10 mils per kg per hour for the first hour, and then we're going to decrease that by half to 5 mils per kg per hour. It looks like we've got everything set up appropriate for Kinsey, and we'll go ahead and go give her pre-medications and start with our procedure.